How's it going, guys, and welcome back to an operator mastery. This is actually the 30th operator guide I've done on Siege, and it kind of kickstarted the whole channel, so I always got to appreciate this series, and I'm always going to keep doing it. But we're going to go over Fuze this time, and I definitely wasn't going to do Fuze, but someone suggested it on the Discord server, and I've seen people suggesting it all over the comment sections all the time because they want to know just how to play Fuze better. And I think a lot of people do kind of struggle with the fact that Fuze shouldn't be played through windows and stuff, and instead should be played vertically. So I'm going to give you some examples on how you should be able to do that, and of course just go over the basics of the operator, such as the loadout and what type of playstyle you should be using. So 3 speed or 3 armor, 1 speed. So keep that in mind. You are a fatty when you're playing as Fuze. And your options of weapons, you could either go with the ballistic shield type setup, but the AK-12 is by far one of the best guns in the game, probably the best gun in the game. So that is the gun I would go for here. And it would definitely be the flash hider, ACOG, and angled or vertical grip, but angled grip really in most situations. So angled, flash, ACOG. Now unfortunately the ACOG on the Russian operators are not the best, so you have to deal with the extra lineage. That's why I love the ACOG and AK-12 whenever it's on Ace, because it's the AK-12 but you get a normal ACOG, and with this it's still okay, but the ACOG here, it's the half circle. I don't really love it, but I'd still go with the ACOG for the most part on this. As for your secondary, you have 2 options, either the PMM or the GSH. Usually with the pistol, you want to go with the higher damage, just in case you ever do have to pull it out. It's harder to hit headshots with those, so you want to do that, and you always want to have a muzzle or a suppressor, depending on what you're trying to do there. But a muzzle should work fine. Suppressor might actually be good because you are playing vertically a lot of the time, so you're going to want to get cams and stuff like that silently. So a suppressor could work out fine, but I use a muzzle brake on it, and I also use this exact setup for the AK-12. And then smoke grenades is definitely my choice there. But breaching charges, if you are playing vertically, can be very beneficial. But usually when you're playing vertically with Fuze, you want to bring a sledge or a buck with you and just become a really dynamic duo. Get all utility, get some frags. It should be pretty easily done. So as always, we're going to be hopping to an example game so I can really showcase what I'm talking about. I like doing that rather than showing just like show off gameplay. So this is how I do it. But with every map, whenever you're entering and you're thinking about going Fuze, you have to think about what rotation the bombs usually go in. So for example, this map, it usually starts with hookah and then it goes down to kitchen. You don't really want to pick it for hookah. There's not really much benefit in having a Fuze for the hookah lounge, except if you're going to risk your life and try to get a Fuze off on the window. But once you get to higher ranks, you're going to get shot off those windows anytime you even think about doing that. So usually you want to play the hookah round with a different operator for the most part, and that's why it's a very situational op for the most part, because you don't know when you're going to want to use a Fuze, and it's usually whenever you're playing vertically. So just let's see where this bomb site is, and I want to show you, for example, what I would do now that we've already played the hookah round. So you just have to know that for every round, kind of what rotation. Every rank is kind of different as well on the rotation, because some rotations, like lower rank rotations, are different than higher rank rotations. But I'm saying from a plat perspective, it goes hookah down to kitchen, and then it usually ends there. Usually you lose one of those rounds, so that's where it usually ends, or ends up in penthouse. So it looks like it is actually in kitchen. So yeah, it's kitchen. So this is a perfect scenario here. So besides just knowing the basic rotations, the next thing you need to know is, what are you trying to do with your Fuze? Are you trying to get kills, or are you trying to get gadgets? What you should be trying to do is getting gadgets. So what I'm saying there is, you're trying to burn ADS systems, you're trying to burn WMIs, you're trying to burn anything that you can, you're trying to destroy barbed wire, you're trying to get all of the things that could possibly slow down your team down in the future. So you always want to come above the site, and it really helps if you know some map knowledge. But this is why I say it's great to bring a sledge or a buck with you. I'm saying if you are duo queuing and you bring both your teammates up through the balcony here, and you have a sledge and a buck, and say you even bring a jackal. Now the main thing is you guys are mainly just trying to cause as much disruption as possible. So whenever you come in, you know, the 2 sites are right around here, and then of course where it says A. So you always want to just put your fuses down and just let them rip. Try to, even if you don't get kills, you are trying to just destroy as much stuff as possible. That's the main thing with Fuze. And if you get a kill, cool, that's awesome, but you shouldn't rely on it. And that's why I say bring a buck, because, or the breaching charge, but if you bring a buck, then you can open up these walls and play vertically that whole round. And you could also catch them while they're scattering whenever you put down your cluster charge. That's kind of a good example there. I put down my cluster, you could see someone run across, and you could be watching it from an angle like this with your gun. So you could do this with or without a buck or a sledge, but it's always easier with another set of eyes. Someone could be watching the flank, someone could be watching any other things, because a lot of the time whenever you are playing vertically, you do get flanked on a lot, so you kind of have to keep one eye open, one eye up, just to make sure no one's pushing you from any other angle. So for example, on the side like this, you're going to want to keep an eye on this door, and you're going to want to keep an eye on your flank here through the master bedroom. So that's just for this site in specific, but what I'm saying about the situational thing is this is only good for this site on this map, in my opinion. This is the only site it's useful for, because, well, except if you went blue bar too, but that's never really played much in Siege, and it's not really predictable, if anything. So usually, like, there's only about one site per map, and I can give you an example of basically every site, but it's usually whenever there's any sort of vertical play where you could be playing above. You never want to be having to come up on a window like this, making the sound, because you are going to get punished for that. You might not get punished for it in the lower ranks, but you will get punished for it in the higher ranks. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that sound and I just sprayed through the window and I've gotten a kill. It's so predictable, and it's usually always at head height, so you just pre-fire head height and you usually end up getting the kills. So just get out of that habit of doing that, and instead use it for how I'm telling you to do it right now, which is for vertical play, mainly to get gadgets, but kills are also sometimes can happen, of course. Now, if you don't know vertical play for every single map, I have a video for vertical play on every single map, but most of the time it just comes with playing the game. You end up just learning everything about your vertical play and how to play vertically, and you just know where stuff is at the end of the day. So that's how I knew that these are the two sites. This is right around the bathroom area. As you can see, right into bathroom is where we're looking. This is the bathroom door. You just get to know that by playtime experience, but it might help kickstart you if you do end up watching that, because I kind of go over every single maps, every single vertical play, and I think that's really what Fuze is. It's just a vertical player. There's nothing that says that you should go to a window and put your fuses down. That's all I got for you guys for gameplay wise, but I would like to point out a few more things. I just kind of want to say what everything it can break, because I know you're going to be tempted to break things sometimes. Say there's a castle barricade, so it's just good to know some things like that. So any soft wall like this, you could put a fuse on. Once again, it's a little more risky. Vertical play is the safest because you can't really tell where the sound's coming from, and you can't really shoot up. It's not really that beneficial at all. But walls, you can shoot through barricades, of course, castle barricades, hatches if they are unreinforced, and of course normal ceilings if they are unreinforced. So Fuze is very, very powerful if used correctly, but he's very rarely used correctly, and is instead kind of considered pretty bad in my books by the way most people use it. If people use it to destroy gadgets and such, then it is a very solid operator, but most of the time I just don't see that. And you just got to remember, you are a 3 armor operator, 1 speed, so you are slow and you are loud. So playing vertically can be sometimes scary because everyone kind of knows you're up there, but you really get the other team scattering, and if your team's set up in good positions, they'll catch them running around, and that is how you play Fuze really at the end of the day. That's all for me today. Hopefully this helped out with Fuze. I know it was kind of short because Coastline and just Fuze in general, there's only 1 spot for every single map in general. Just know that before hopping into a game with Fuze, just always plan out the rounds. You always have to think in your head, okay, it's going to go from hookah to kitchen to penthouse, and you just have to think of how your rank goes. Every single map is differently, but you should get the rhythm. After a while, you understand everyone likes this site, then they like this site, then they like this site. With that, guys, please recommend the next operator we should do, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.